New intro. And there's new tech coming. I mean, there's always new tech coming, but what better time to lay it all out than the beginning of the year for some of the best stuff we're expecting for 2024. Now, there was plenty of great tech in 2023, from smartphones to cameras to VR stuff to computers and headphones, a bunch of good EVs and a bunch of even better EV promises. But 2024 is looking up, so these are, to me, the most interesting new bits of tech stuff that we can look forward to for this upcoming year. Actually, right at the beginning of every year is CES in January, where it's out in Las Vegas. This year, again, I will not be there in person, but I will have my eyes on it, and I will be seeing if there's anything interesting that sort of bubbles up above the rest of the noise. I can always count on you guys to send me that stuff on Twitter if you see anything. But then also, typically kicking off every year with a bang is a January Samsung event, so we're expecting S24 reveal stuff pretty soon. Also, based on the leaks, it looks like S24 family is going to look very similar to S23. So it'll be curious to see what stuff they actually do change, but that's another January thing. We're about to get that soon. But the big headliner that appears to be right around the corner, it feels like, is Apple Vision Pro. This feels like maybe the most unprecedented Apple launch in a long time, certainly in my career online, just because, love them or hate them, Apple is one of the biggest tech companies in the world, and them doing such a weird launch like this is pretty fascinating. So they've shown it on stage. They did that announcement video, and they announced it months ahead of time, but they have not shown a single Apple employee or executive wearing it even once. And they've let people actually test this thing out, including myself many times, but nobody has been allowed to film themselves using it at all. And just in general, there's still a lot of unanswered questions about how it's going to work, what it's going to be really good at, what you're going to want to use it for. Are you going to have to go into an Apple store to get custom fit to actually be able to buy one of these things? It's just shaping up to be one of the most interesting new products in a long time. Now, it's super expensive. Like, we all know that, $3,500. So it's for sure not for everyone. Most people I know don't even plan on getting one, but it is for those early adopters who are curious about the VR stuff. And those who do, I already know, will be very impressed by the pass-through, which is incredible, by the immersion and the resolution, which is really good, by the eye tracking, which is borderline magical. But it feels like it's going to be hard to review because it doesn't really compete against any of the other VR headsets. Like, it is much more expensive than any of the others, so it doesn't compete against them, but then also it feels like, okay, that means it has no competition, which is kind of weird too. It's fascinating. I will say, if you want to go back and watch my initial impressions after I first tried Apple Vision Pro the day it got announced, I will link that video below. That's one thing, I think this headset is going to be technically impressive to the people that try it. But the other half of the story that's completely unwritten is what apps are going to come out for it? What are the killer features and the use cases going to turn out to be that it turns out Apple Vision Pro is really good at? I had this vision of like wearing it on the airplane and watching a movie wearing the headset for a 4-hour flight, but it's also so heavy that I don't know if I'd want to wear it for that long. And will the battery actually last that long? There's so many questions, not a lot of answers yet, so looking forward to that for this year. But you know what I have almost no doubt about? I'm calling it now. Remember the word multimodal. Just for 2024, this is going to be the year of multimodal AI. See, we've seen so much of the focus on AI for these past couple of years, or the past 2 years or so. It feels like a long time, but it's mainly just been these chatbots, right? Where they're trained on all this information, and then you give it a text prompt and it gives you a text answer. So it can generate, some new interesting prompts, or it can summarize something for you, or it can sort of spit out something creative, but it's text in, text out. But we are right now at the beginning of starting to see what's called multimodal AI, which all it really means is it's more than one different type of medium input into this AI system. So it'll be able to understand text or audio or images or video and be able to work with that and still give you an output. So Google got in trouble a couple of days ago because they faked a video, and it's still on their YouTube channel. It's a 6-minute video of them asking their new multimodal Gemini Ultra AI model a bunch of different questions in a row about stuff it sees being put on a table, drawings, this guy puts objects in the frame, etc. And it's very conversational about all this stuff.
The cup to the left.
Nice.
So that was fake, or at least heavily edited, but I honestly didn't really care. The idea to me of it actually being that advanced, it never crossed my mind that could be actually real time. But the idea the idea of being able to feed your virtual assistant anything, that to me is the leveling up of this AI that we've been hoping for. Just being able to give it whatever's in front of you, just be able to show it something or type out text or read it something or whatever, and all of that still works. I'm excited for eventually having a multimodal Google Assistant whenever that happens. I also even did a short recently about the Meta AI smart glasses. They have a camera on the front, but they also have an AI model in the glasses themselves in the computer, and that AI model is now, with an early access program, multimodal, and so you can look at stuff with the glasses and it'll be able to help you with it. Look, all I'm saying is multimodal AI. Just remember that word for now. And that's not even counting all the rest of the stuff AI is genuinely useful for. That's not even consumer facing, from finding patterns and immense amounts of data to be able to better predict and control wildfires, or to be able to invent new materials or cure diseases. What a world we live in.
We truly live in an age of wonders.
Now, new hardware is always fun, right? You know, new phones, new tablets, new computers, all that stuff. You want to know something interesting, though, about last year? Not a single new iPad was released in 2023. Makes you think. Now, the thing about the iPad is Apple does tend to make a couple occasional, like, amazing hardware changes to the iPad Pro. I think the iPad Pro is genuinely one of the most impressive pieces of hardware tech that I've ever used. And then they do that every year or two, but then at the end of the day, you use it and it's still an iPad. So I say this with some hesitation, but I am actually really looking forward to seeing the rumored new OLED iPad Pro in 2024. That's something we've heard that we might get for a while. We already have an OLED S8 Ultra. That tablet is amazing looking, and I want to see a super bright OLED display on an iPad. We'll see if that shows up soon. But one more interesting design change we're actually expecting with Apple is actually the Watch 10, the Series 10, 10th generation Apple Watch. All signs are pointing towards a truly redesigned Apple Watch for the first time really ever in this year's Apple Watch 10. Now, I mean, let's be real. Apple Watch has looked kind of the same for a long time. Yes, the Ultra is a little different. It's a little bigger, a little flatter on the front. But the Series 9 looks just like a Series 8, which looks just like a Series 7, Series 6, Series 5. So they're all the same shape, other than basically the bezel getting a little bit thinner. Now, change for the sake of change isn't really useful on its face, but I just think the Apple Watch feels like it actually could use a fresh coat of paint, just a little design, a little refresh to get up to date with the Galaxy Watches of the world, nice circles. I think it would look nice. Also, have you heard that the Apple Watch is like dangerously close to being banned in the US, which is a whole separate story, maybe worth a whole separate video? We'll stay tuned on that. Oh, and RCS on the iPhone. I'm excited for RCS to finally come to the iPhone sometime in 2024. They haven't said when, but Apple's committed to it. I usually don't root for tech to die, but I do think it's time to be done with SMS forever. So, welcome on board. Now, this one's more general, but I am actually hoping this year for some actually interesting smartphones. I'll put it that way. Because obviously this is probably a little bit of a crazy ask, because smartphones are clearly mature and they all are kind of looking the same and they improve a little bit every year. And even the folding ones now are kind of looking the same as they did the year before. But I think this is a good, ripe time for a new, maybe mid-range. It's not going to be the flagship, the big hitters, but maybe a mid-range smartphone to really try something crazy new. It might be a crazy, risky thing. Might not happen. But I'm hoping that we do get to see something like that in 2024. And then also, I've said this before, but every single year for the next probably 15 years is going to be the most interesting year for electric cars yet. And I don't think 2024 is any exception to that rule. And we've got a bunch of really solid EVs already out there in the world, right? The most popular new car in the world is an EV. And there's already some really good ones in North America. Also, the NACS port has very quickly gotten a ton of commitments from pretty much everyone making electric cars. So basically, Tesla superchargers will be available to way more electric cars. Great. Now this year coming up, we already have a Tesla Cybertruck starting to hit the streets. That's pretty crazy. We are also definitely expecting a Model 3 and Model Y refresh very soon, imminently. I mean, the Model 3 refresh is already out there. It's shipping in Europe and Asia, and I think it'll be in the US pretty soon. I would stay tuned to the autofocus channel for a look at those. We also just got a crazy Porsche Taycan refresh, drop a crazy Nürburgring lap time, so that looks to be a competitor to the Model S Plaid at the very high end. But also there should be way more, hopefully more affordable EVs coming out over the next couple of years. So all of this, plus some hybrids that are somewhere in between for people not ready to go fully electric, that should all be the most interesting year yet for autofocus stuff, so I'm excited for that. And then of course there's lots of other tech that I am hoping to see take strides forward this year, but I wanted to cap this off with some of the videos that I'm most looking forward to here this year. So last year there were 70 plus new videos on this channel, which were super fun, and I have this like threshold for what I consider like a certified banger. Like when people approached me in real life and mentioning one of these videos, there were a couple that really bubbled to the top, and those were the Tesla Solar Roof video, the Tesla Cybertruck actually, Apple Vision Pro for sure, and the Formula One Explained video. Those all popped off. I really enjoyed the Formula One Explained video though, because obviously that sport is incredibly high tech, but I also think low key, there is a lot of other tech in a lot of other sports that's worth highlighting that I think would be super fun to make videos about. Now, some of it is in the sport itself. Some of it is in the training for the sport, you might be surprised by. Some of it is in the broadcasts, like you already know about those highlight moments. Tennis match, you see the ball, the slow-mo camera, and it hits just like on the line, and you get that replay instantly. The line of scrimmage in football, the pitch count and the strike zone in baseball. There's tons of stuff like that. My point is, I'm probably making some sports tech videos in 2024 because I've had a lot of fun with those, and I happen to be very interested in that. But then I also want to do more collaborations in general. I've had a lot of fun with the Waveform podcast, which if you haven't already subscribed there, link below, get subscribed. But we have guests on there all the time, which are really fun, and it highlights how much you can learn from having conversations with people. I think my creator conversations are some of my favorites, but also just in general, collaborations with people on YouTube. So if y'all have suggestions for people, for channels you'd like to see us collaborate with, definitely leave a comment below, because that's on the high list for me. And then there's a few top secret projects we've been working on over here for a while that are finally going to launch in 2024. You'll know them when you see them. There'll be huge announcements. Stay tuned here on Twitter and everywhere else for that stuff. I've included Easter eggs to the two biggest ones in this video. They're subtle, but once they're announced, you'll know. So yeah, look forward to all that stuff for the new calendar year. I'm gonna wrap it up here. Thanks for watching. See you in 2024, like starting now. Peace.